Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. I'm used to having the hats and bringing things together. I'm going to get a Coons Ford Security Boulevard hat in here sometime soon for Dennis Koulatsos. But what I do have, a little surprise, because Dennis has been Zooming with us lately from over there at Security Boulevard. First things first, you're wearing your purple today. It's good purple therapy here all week, and you'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5 getting ready for Houston. But the air smells better. Everything, the mask feels a little more comfortable. Everything's a little better when the Ravens go out and play like they did on Sunday, right?
It really is, Nestor, and even traffic was more brisk, a lot more vehicles on the road. So I think this is part of America just getting back on its feet again, everybody getting back to work and supporting each other. It's a wonderful feeling to have the NFL back, especially with a team like the Ravens poised to make a Super Bowl run right from the get-go.
Well, look, this is what I got for today, because we always do a little culinary piece, and now that I can Zoom with you, this is the final piece of peach cake of the year. Yeah, I called my two favorite peach cake places, and I'm going to give them free plugs. Simon's, this is from Simon's up in Cockeysville on Cranbrook, and at Fenwick on Harford Road down south inside the city. And this is just unbelievable peach cake. And this is the last piece, and you see the bread. By the way, my wife and I have had a long conversation, because I know you and I ate a lot of Pappy's Pizza when we were kids, and we've,
of course,
John's, we've all that, right? Were you a kid that ate the crust, or did you throw the crust away when you?
Oh no, I've always eaten the crust. You got to eat the crust. You got to do it all the way. Absolutely, nothing like a good crust. I think it takes away from the pizza. And I have family members who just won't eat the crust just because they're trying to limit the calories. But for me,
understand. We've
love the
talked
crust.
about that. But look, so my wife actually got me the piece where like the crust is on it. I mean. So I'm going to eat this, and I'm going to ask you, and you can ramble as long as you want, because I'm going to have peaches in my mouth because I haven't eaten yet. You know, I mean, it's just what it is. You're up all night doing this. And I don't know what we expected on Sunday. And for me, I watched the game in my bed with my cat. My wife was in the other room. She kept running back, and her television was like 2 seconds faster. So things were happening quicker in the front than they were in the back. And, and I said, I'm old enough now. I can wait 2 extra seconds for whatever. I'll hear you screaming in the front. And so that's how we've never watched a game like that. Maybe when she had cancer, maybe one, at home once or twice. But we go to the games, home and away. My wife goes to, 75% of the away games, whether it's on a bus, whether it's on a plane, whether it's us driving, whether it's fans, whether it's a nice hotel, a crappy hotel, we're at the team hotel. I've done it every single way. But I ain't never done what I did on Sunday. So I'll leave it at that. But once the game started, hey, man, it was all Lamar, and we're pretty good.
Nestor, I woke up kind of late, and I broiled some crab cakes. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I did some Eggs Benedict with fresh broiled crab cakes, and it was just amazing. That was a start to my day. That was my appetizer for the festivities, but what a wonderful day it was. It was great to have football. It was a bit weird without having the fans there, but once we got into the game and I watched the early game, the afternoon game, as well as the late game, I saw 3 football games yesterday. And at least for a few hours, it felt like things were somewhat normal again back in America, but certainly glad to have football back.
Well, for me, quality of play was one of the major – well, I mean, COVID was a concern, quality of play, what happened with Navy and BYU, sort of the mismatch part of this. And none of that happened. Yeah, maybe you say the Eagles, but look, there's always an upset, right? I mean, sure. The Browns got shellacked last year. We were supposed to win the Super Bowl, right? But for me, our team, and I'd said it all summer long, if they're going to play, they're going to play well. If there's going to be a league, the Ravens stand as good a chance as anybody of keeping COVID out, of, John's a world-class rally the troops. I mean, Dick's going to have the front office run right. Eric's going to have the football players right. John Staff's going to coach them up, the doctors. I mean, all of that, right? That they went out and executed the way they did in week 1. Like, if you were just beamed up and you didn't know any different from a pandemic, it looked the way it was supposed to look from an organizational standpoint.
Well, Nestor, I think this poses a greater question in the sense that, do we now need preseason? Can the NFL really make an argument that we need 4 preseason games or even 2 preseason games? At the collegiate levels, as we know, there is no preseason game. There are no preseason games, but I thought the quality of play was good, not just in the Ravens game, but league-wide. I thought the product didn't suffer at all by not having any preseason games.
We hear so much about Lamar, losing in January, and that's all on the record, right? But for me, with growth and a growth mindset, and I know you and I have talked about leadership a lot, over the course of time and trying to get better every day, right? Like the fact that you and I are Zooming right now, we weren't doing that a year ago, it's going to make it better. The fact that, I'm doing my website different. The fact that you're selling more cars online than 20 years ago, there was no online, right? And when you began selling cars, you would have thought, how in the heck am I going to sell a car online? What does that have to do with buying an ad in the newspaper? So we all evolve. I don't know where the evolution of this is. And certainly in the bigger picture of things, the unintended consequences of what this is all going to represent for how we view sports, where we go, what the value is to us to spend money to get together. But all of that, the change began on Sunday, right? But we're weirded out on all of this, but from a football perspective, the people would look at Lamar Jackson and not say growth mindset, that he wouldn't work on the things that went wrong in January. We saw that last year, right? We saw him take leaps and bounds after losing, as a rookie in a way maybe he shouldn't have lost to a team that maybe they shouldn't have lost to in the Chargers, and the way, they played defense in that game. And then last year to go out and dominate, and the passes they said he couldn't throw, he threw 6 of them in Miami to start the year last year, right? And now this week it was more about accuracy and what happens when your first receiver's taken away from you, and do you really need to run that much? Do you need to be the running quarterback? Does a running game need to work? Not all the parts of it work this week, but they could have taken him out of the game at halftime. I mean, literally, right?
Well, we were all, at least at the end of the third quarter, we were all saying, why is Lamar Jackson still in there? But to your point, he looked very much the part of the defending league MVP. He looked better and sharper than last year. And of course, it's only one game in, so we don't have enough data at this point. But the start was phenomenal. He was laser sharp. He was focused. I also think the fact that they traded away Hayden Hurst, and they're running less 3 tight end sets this year, more 2 tight end sets, gives the offense a chance to be more wide open, gives the offense a chance to interject more of these wide receivers, whether it's Miles Boyking or Willie Snead or James Prochet, to go along with the mercurial Hollywood Brown. So I think we'll see more of a spread offense. And now all the rookies that they've had, they all shine, including KJ Dobbins, right? There's a star in the making. But you have to like what you saw from the first game out of Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Dennis Koulatsos is joining us here. He'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5. He's over at Coons 40 selling cars, new and pre-loved, as he likes to say. And anything you need a dealership, of course, they're there for you. You hear the ads here. We get together and talk a little bit about football after the games. And, man, it's been a long time since we've had it after the game to talk about all that went right on Sunday. And, I think about how hard it was to get 10 yards on 4 plays 3 years ago, right? And how the offense has evolved and the weaponry. But all those names you mentioned, whether it was Boykin or whether it was Duvernay, all getting the ball kind of early in the game and spreading the love. And there wasn't too much Mark Ingram, but there was enough. And there was enough Dobbins to make you think, okay. And the Gus Bus got the ball back on the goal line. And, Mark Andrews made some big plays. Willie Snead made some big plays. Hollywood made. I mean, I would think from if you're trying to, if it's a chopped episode and you had to use everything in the cabinet, right? They used the sugars and the spices. They used everything they had. And to my eyes, I just thought, man, they got a lot of talent. All the way around, whether it's the Peters and the Calais Campbells are sort of the imported guys, or whether it's the Queens and, the kids that they've drafted here over the course of time, that they've orchestrated their game plan. This is what they were set out to do, to just go beat the snot out of the Cleveland Browns by 4 touchdowns on opening week.
Well, you have to like the makeup of the team, too. We don't have a receiver such as Odell Beckham Jr. that every time he's open and the quarterback doesn't see him, he gives the quarterback the side eye. I think that's kind of understated because Cleveland does have a collection of explosive stars on the offensive side of the ball. But the Ravens have a completely selfless team, taking the cue from Lamar Jackson, as you mentioned, a great leader like John Harbaugh. So you don't have the infighting, I'm not getting the ball, look at me, I'm wide open type of a prima donna wide receiver or running back on this team. And I think that plays well into the strengths of this organization, and it manifests itself on the field.
Well, to me, that's why Antonio Brown never came here, right? To me, that's
Correct.
why John that's why, look, Earl Thomas being jettisoned when I'm writing Purple Rain 3 in February, right? As Lucas predicted, by the way, because Lucas predicted that the Ravens were going to win the Super Bowl,
Nice.
that you would look at the Earl Thomas thing as almost like that could be chapter 1, right? Like if they win the Super Bowl, I would begin the book with what happened there, because you still won the Super Bowl and you told him to just get out. And a year and a half ago, you gave him $55 million, or 11 times, how the cap is. But they wanted him that badly. And if you're not on the leadership council around here, it's very, very obvious what Calais Campbell brings to the table before he bats down 3 balls in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, you know what? I'm so giddy with him and about him. I saw him give a speech last year when he won the Walter Payton's Man of the Year award, and I said, man, that's the kind of guy I want to wear a Ravens uniform, right? The kind of guy that's got immense character. And
Eric DeCosta thought that too.
oh my gosh, I'm getting not chicken skin but goosebumps, literally speaking about it. And you saw him yesterday, all 6 feet 8 of him, batting down passes at the line of scrimmage, going against a 6-foot quarterback, and what he brings to the team instead of leadership and accountability. And he also wants a championship ring, something he lacks. And if he's going to have a Hall of Fame career that he's well on his way of getting, that ring does mean a lot. So Calais Campbell was a tremendous addition of the team, and that character is invaluable. Them jettisoned Earl Thomas. They sent a message to everyone on the team and around the league that they're not going to tolerate anybody who's not all in. And we saw the Joker, Deshaun Elliott, running around, making plays, putting a smackdown on Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And that defense, once they got their act together, so to speak, because Chubb, of course, and Hunt had a couple of long runs, they were pretty stout, particularly in that second half, to shutting down the Browns.
Well, you talk about answering critics and being better the next time, right? Like the Browns embarrassed the Ravens. Lamar Jackson was embarrassed by the loss to the Titans and the Chargers before that. And what we've seen most weeks, like we saw at the LA Memorial Coliseum, like what Deshaun Watson and Coach OB saw last year here, we're now like, okay, the season started and, we've got the rust off the Houston on the road, angry Houston, having lost the game. I mean, the schedule makers in this league know what they're doing, right? And then we would stand to see Patrick Mahomes either dusting off at 1-1 or at 2-0 and saying, all right, they're coming here. We don't have the 68,000 we'd love to rain down upon the world champions in our place, the way the schedule makers drew it up. But we're going to be able to test this organization as to where it is right here, right now. Not where it was last year, year before that, and the Mahomes and all of that, but where it is right now. I mean, what's the line? Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? Or in the case of John Harbaugh's dad, who's got it better than us, Dennis Koulatsos?
Nobody. The narrative about Lamar Jackson needs to stop. He's 19-3. Actually, now he's 20-3 in regular season, 13 wins in a row, 20-5 overall. The young man has only played 25 professional NFL games. What do people want? A championship from year 1 or 2? Look, that's setting the bar sky high. They're off to a wonderful start. And speaking about the fans, Nestor, I think the lack of crowd noise does favor the defense. I saw some of the defensive players make commentary that it was great to be able to hear the calls from the Browns or whatnot. So defense travels also very well. So going to Houston, the defense and the running game, Terrell Suggs said it years ago, pack your defense and pack your running game. And who's got a better defense and a better running game than the Baltimore Ravens? Potentially anyway. So I like our chances again, not just against Houston, but against anyone in the league. The Ravens, especially if they win the next 2 games, Nestor, should be favored in every game of the season from here on out.
Dennis Koulatsos can be found at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard most of the time. I think he's got a cot there. He's got a Zoom mic now, and he's all professionaled up. But he'll be in the studio from 3 until 5 on Thursdays, working it with the Sunday Sports Voice. And, of course, the D. Koulatsos Show out on Twitter and Instagram and all the social media places and platforms you are. This feels good, right? If you, of all the things that have gone wrong and bad, and you and I have made the most of all of it, and we've eaten some good food in the summer. It's going to give way to all this pumpkin spices around the corner. I know that's the next thing. But I have been enjoying this, and I saved it for you, figuring if you could just watch me eat it, you would enjoy it. And next year, I'm going to bring you some proper peach cake. We've talked about this, right?
Yeah, peaches that's one of my favorite fruits of all time. It's nothing like a sweet peach. White peaches, yellow peaches, it doesn't matter to me.
I don't like those white peaches.
I made a nice French toast with them a couple weeks ago with white peaches.
I'm a yellow peach guy.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, it's nothing like fresh fruit in the summer.
It's like I don't even want to talk about it knowing like this is the end. You know what I mean? Literally, this is the last piece of peach cake in Baltimore right here. And you're seeing me nibble at it here with Dennis. And I just want to share it with people because I love it so much and it's going away. And, but what it means, it's like football coming back. I almost needed a sweater on Saturday walking through the city, with my wife late at night. So we're starting to get into that. I'm getting on an airplane. I'm going somewhere to see a football game. I guess some part of that will feel normal, but we're trying to get some normalcy back, and football is at least for a couple of hours on Sunday. I mean, and the weird part that didn't feel normal was the Washington football team emerging victorious. That did not feel normal.
Well, they have a decent defense, and the comment I made online is, our fan base, we say go Ravens, and what does they say down in D.C.? Do they say go football team or go team? I mean, that is their nickname, so I think it's kind of odd, but Ron Rivera is a very good coach. I think he's very underrated, and they do have some stars in that defense. Philly was up 17-0, and to me, they gave that game away. They lost it much more so than the Washington football team won it.
Well, we're off to a good start. I feel very exhale. The thing you didn't want to see was the Cleveland Browns of, last year's, mystique before actually be that good. And the last thing you want to look up and say, who are these draft picks? And they're not playing. So, I mean, the rust is off. We saw the car run on a Sunday, and it looked like a red Barchetta to me. Is what it looked like to me.
Well, again, Cleveland, third new head coach in 3 years. The factory of sadness continues. Kevin Stefanski's outside zone run scheme just didn't work. They're all over the place. Baker Mayfield was Baker Mayfield. He didn't look like he was improved from last year. He was 10 pounds lighter, but his accuracy still wasn't there. He had a couple big plays, but the Ravens they contained him. And they do have a lot of talent on that team on both sides of the ball. But organizations, they went from the top. It starts from the top. They have horrible ownership. I believe Stefanski has to meet with the owners, Jimmy Haslam and his wife, every Monday morning to tell them about the game plan for the following week. Who does that? What head coach wants to work under those circumstances, Nestor? The factory of sadness continues. I'm just very glad they're in our division.
I pulled up my app, and I'm like, man, I'm going to Houston this week. We're Indianapolis, New England. I'm like, I got a flight to Cleveland in December. I mean, what am I going to find in Cleveland in December? But, Dennis, I know what I found in week one. You got the purple on. I got the purple going here. I'm thinking about breaking out the purple rope lights and putting them on, for a couple of segments. I have to beat Kansas City to do that. For me to get the Festivus lights out, a win over Kansas City, 2 weeks from now, if we're doing Tuesday morning and we're 3-0, I will have the purple rope lights around my neck because they're right over the closet. I didn't put them away last year. I cried on them a little bit and put them away.
Believe that. We're going to beat the Texans, and we're going to smack down the Chiefs. Look, the Chiefs roll over the Texans in the opener. But nothing that I saw this weekend makes me change my mind. I think the Ravens are the best team in the NFL. I'm not being a homer. I do love the 10 draft picks that DeCosta's brought to the team, in addition to Derek Wolfe and Calais Campbell. I think those are difference makers, and I think they're going to be enough to get the Ravens over the hump. I think we'll be celebrating a Super Bowl victory in February for sure.
3 o'clock, he will be here. The Dennis Koulatsos Show, the former Sunday Sports Voice, now heard Thursday live, Sunday before the game. Games at 4 o'clock. I'll be in Houston. Dennis will be here, and Luke is in Owings Mills, getting it done when he can, and, of course, covering all things Ravens. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, Taft, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports and Baltimore positive.